Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 1431 Southeast Pershing Street here in Portland. We are located down in the basement. I describe everything as if you are standing in the street facing the front of the house. We're kind of at the back right corner of the basement here. Bear with me a second and I'll show that to you. Alright, same closet that the looks like Insta hot water is in there. Inline water heater. Drop it into a 4-inch cast iron clean out. We're going to have water running here in just a moment, and we'll zero out once we hit the base of the stack. This smaller, not smaller, same diameter, this 4-inch ABS clean out is deceiving. There is not, I originally thought this may have been a new clean out. Underneath it is a smaller clean out access that's going to be for some drain of some kind. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but anyway, just wanted to show that to you. This is just merely to cover the hole. Alright, dropping in here. Huh. Don't love that. Not sure what the heck happened there. That pipe got pushed way too far into the line. In fact, I'm kind of wondering, that right there may actually sit. I'll investigate that a little bit more when we come back in at the end. That's about where I would expect to see this, that little clean out I just showed you a moment ago. If that were to tie into the sewer line, I would expect it to be about right here. So that has caused a significant loss of diameter. That's actually kind of scary to put my camera underneath here. Make sure we can actually get past this stinking thing. Alright, off we go. Anyway, we'll look a little more into that as we come back out. Transitioning here to 4-inch ABS plastic. Nice to see some updates were done. I'm not entirely sure what that funky little drain is for there. Kind of feels like a custom install for some particular unique reason. It kind of sort of looks like it could have been a floor drain at one point, and it you know, they may have just bypassed it entirely, put a different one in, because there is another floor drain very close to here, within about 2 feet of that, in fact. And so far here, all this updated pipe is looking good. Very clean, draining off very nicely. Good looking piece of pipe so far. And these homeowners have been doing a very good job of not gunking the line up with grease buildup. It's a super clean flow line. Precisely how you want your line to look right there. And by and large, the main thing that gunks pipes up and builds up debris is grease, fats, and oils. And it's a very good living habit. I've done over 25,000 scopes, tons and tons of drain cleaning, and grease buildup is a very common culprit in a lot of blockages that result in backups. Ones that require drain cleaners to come out. And you know, I said blockages that result in backups. There's a lot of blockages that don't result in backups. That they will happen actually pretty frequently without even noticing it. It's very common. A line will block, water builds up for a few feet, and then it's enough, the head pressure of that in combination with items that disintegrate, things will break loose. So when your pipe is greased up, it acts like glue, causes debris to stick much more effectively, and it can withstand a lot more head pressure. It's more likely that your run-of-the-mill, you know, balled-up TP blockages that should break loose on their own can hang in there and result in a full-on sewer event. So it's a good living habit. Anyhow, we're going to go locate really quick here while the line finishes draining. That's the main there at about 62 feet. We'll locate here and then pull back in. Alrighty, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates out on Southeast Pershing. If you go stand in the street facing the front of the house, the line here is running down the driveway. At the very top of the driveway, I actually parked over the top but didn't realize it at first. You've got an exterior clean out under a big steel cover plate at the very end or top of the driveway. So the line here looks like it's shooting almost immediately out the right side of the home. And then off it goes out to the road. And if you basically walk in a straight line from that clean out, or just right down the middle of the driveway in general, right at the end of the driveway you'll see a rectangle patch that leads into the roadway where you can tell a saw cut repair was done. That patch is directly over the sewer line. That's where the line was put in. And from the looks of it, I think this line, maybe it wasn't burst in. First it almost looked like a bursted in line, but this looks more like ABS than HDPE. Both are good pipe products and look almost identical to one another. Nah, actually, I think it was burst in. So one of the hallmarks of a burst in sewer line, that's where they drag a bursting head in, which blows the old line out of the way. And as the bursting head is drugged through the old pipe, blowing the old one out of the way, it feeds a new pipe in right behind it as it goes. And one of the hallmarks of that is they usually use HDPE, which looks similar to ABS, doesn't have as much shine to it, but you have almost no pipe joints. The stuff comes on big spools. It's really cool. It's insanely strong pipe. I've hit it with as hard as I could with a full-size sledgehammer. My thing just bounced right off of it. About hit myself in the face with the sledgehammer. That's how strong it is. And when there are joints, they're actually plastic welded. They have a specialized machine to weld the joints together, so they become one. So you don't have all the weak points of a normal, ABS or PVC line. That's a bigger deal when you have a lot of roots around your pipe. So anyway, much of what you just saw there is what looks like it was burst in. The very end of the line there looks like some trenching was done, which is normal. It requires digging a hole at each end of the repair, and then they burst everything in between. Very, very nice looking line there. Graded beautifully, zero standing water. All that looks good. The HDPE, the ABS, 3034, that's the green pipe. Now we're coming back in right now. So you have this little, my camera's upside down right now. You can see at the top of the screen there, my camera's kind of running into a little edge. What that is, it's a common thing on older homes like this. And plenty of updates have been done down here. Not all the cast iron's been swapped out, but plenty of things have been attached to it. When you saw into cast iron or break it, it's a brittle product. It breaks kind of like glass does. Pieces of it will chip off or shear off and drop down the sewer pipe, and then they get rusted into place. And that's what you have right here. It's got the same contour as a piece of pipe. In fact, that might be like a piece of busted off 2-inch pipe. Bunch of small drains down here have been redone. So anyway, it's something that it's something to look at, but from a just pure flow standpoint, you've lost very little diameter. There's a little bit of an edge for something to theoretically catch on there, but honestly, you'd have to be putting stuff down the line. It would be getting dang close to blocking already for that to even come into play. You still have almost 4 inches of diameter to work with there with just a little tiny lip in the flow line. That thing right there is only maybe, let's see if it hits the base of my camera. It's just barely hitting the bottom of my camera lens. So you have maybe a 1/4 inch tall little object there. Very small. I'll notate it on the report, but it's too minor in my opinion to go messing with it. That when big pieces get down line, especially if they get situated in an awkward position, they can indeed be problematic. But I see this stuff very, very frequently on older homes. Not that it's what we want, but it's just not enough there to go tearing a floor apart over. It's just tiny. All right, we're going to try and figure this little guy out here. So this thing is concerning, obviously, because it's jutting so far into the line. My camera, I'm trying to think of how tall this thing is. It gets dang close to touching that. My camera's about the full width of it's probably about 1.5 inches wide or so. That thing comes pretty darn close to touching the camera. So it's probably, it's taken up, at least probably 1 inch, 1.5 inches worth of the height of the pipe. It luckily is at the top of the sewer line, so if it folded toilet paper, things like that are going to scoot underneath it. But if you have kids in the house that are balling toilet paper up, or anyone who does ball toilet paper in general, that's where that becomes a bigger concern, especially if anything improper gets down the line. That's a pretty nasty, hard obstruction there if something does come into contact with it. So I'm going to try and locate this. I have a sneaking suspicion it's right where this little drain is. Now I was just thinking about it here. This line shoots out the side, so this may actually not be where this little thing is at here. Alrighty, so nope, it's not where I originally thought, although it's possible whatever this little clean-outy thing is could route over to it and tie into it. It's a tricky spot to locate because of the height of the drains over the top of it. You're about 1.5 feet in here. It almost feels like that thing just barely touches the top of my camera. Because by that point, my camera's almost completely past the bend at the base of that. I feel a little bit of friction there. So where this is at, and granted, my locate's not going to be absolutely exact on the money because I can't get my locator straight up and down here. The drain above it prevents me from doing that, but I can get close. Sorry, let me get my camera lens cleaned up here. Alright, so here's our clean out. This right here we're looking at, same place the inline water heater is. This is the right side wall of the house. That's as you face the front of the home from the street. So we drop in here, the line immediately shoots this direction. If you went straight to that wall, right on the outside of the house there is where you'll find that second clean out under the big steel cover plate. So where I'm locating this thing, if you see where the end of my locator is, it's in line with the base of the stack there. It's right about there. This drain sits so close, I can't get my locator straight up and down, so that I might be off slightly by, 3-4 inches, something like that, and it's crazy shallow. The locate signal comes in so strong, it's almost hard to pinpoint it. It's so sensitive. I'm getting around 6 inches. I'm locating at a little bit of an angle there, so, it might be slightly deeper than that. But that is something I do recommend removing from the line. Unfortunately, it's either going to require some level of digging there to open that up. It's a shame that was left in there when this update got done. It may be right on the edge of this patch where they did some of the repairs. I may not have seen it, but the other option you could potentially look into would be to contact most of the companies that have them are going to be like epoxy lining companies or larger outfits that have more specialized high-speed flex shaft machines, MIDI cutters, Picote machines, things like that. They're like a flex shaft that has a high-speed sanding bit on the end of it. Some of those are capable of actually grinding down stuff like that. You could always look into the prospect of doing something like that that would, potentially allow you to not have to cut the ground open. It's just so darn close to the bottom of the vent stack, the turn at the base of it. I'm not sure you'd be able to get the machine straightened out enough to articulate it to where you need it to be to grind that down. So, I would be contacting larger companies, tend to have those more specialized machines like, Apollo Drain, companies of that size, or epoxy lining companies. They frequently use robotic cutting tools and flex shafts to do reinstatements and grinding lines and stuff like that. So, anyway, aside from that spot there, the rest of the line here is looking good. The cast iron's in fair condition for its age, has good flow aside from the pipe sticking down there. And then all the updated pipe looks fantastic. Superbly clean, all in good condition, and graded beautifully. Zero settling problems whatsoever. After any work gets done on this, whether you have to dig that up or run a machine through and try and grind it down, make sure a rescope is performed to check the work. We want to make sure that no settling problems occur after a dig style repair was done. You want to make sure it's buried when you do that rescope, so there's a load on the line. It's not crazy deep, but either way, you can end up with settling problems. And or if someone does run a machine through there, make sure that they're doing a good job doing it and don't beat the heck out of the rest of the pipe in the process of grinding that down if you go that route.